So just to give a brief background, Circular Innovation Lab is a think tank based in Denmark, and our expertise lies in engaging and facilitating dialogue between key stakeholders at a strategic level and working towards accelerating the transition towards a circular economy globally. We have worked in the area of circular economy with the United Nations, with IDEO, Ellen MacArthur Foundations. We had also prepared a national roadmap for India and advised the UK Foreign Office and Chatham House, and also the Taiwanese government on their national strategies on circular economy. In specific sectors, we have worked in textiles and plastics. In the New Plastics Initiative, we worked on the India context as well as the European context. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arpit. Michael?
Thank you, John, and good morning, everyone. Happy to be here as well. My name is Michael Koech. I am, for this session, with the KEPSA, a member with the KEPSA board on environment, but currently working with Safaricom, doing a lot of stuff on environment and climate change. So I think the main reason why I'm here is because of some of the projects that we are doing with KEPSA, as well as within Safaricom around circular economy, particularly focusing on waste management, as well as electronic waste recycling. And happy to be here and share a bit more on circular economy and probably what we are doing as an example. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Now, Augustine.
Thank you very much, John. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Augustine Kendujwa. I work with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry as a Deputy Director for Climate Change Information and Knowledge Management. I'm also a coordinator of the ministerial program called the Green Growth and Employment Program within the Ministry of Environment. I'm tasked with the coordination of green and circular economy activities within the ministry. I've had a chance to travel to Copenhagen and got trained at the DTU, that's the Technical University of Denmark, where I was able to go through the theory and the practical part of green and circular economy. So I'm currently coordinating green and circular economy within the ministry, and also a member of P4G, that is Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals 2030. I was among the discussant during the 3GF, which gave birth to P4G. 3GF was the Global Green Growth Forum, which was also coordinated along the same lines as P4G. So thank you very much. I'm here particularly to share what the government is currently doing as we shift our economy towards green and circular. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Pleased to be here this morning. My name is Faith Ngige. For this context, I am the coordinator for the New Plastics Economy project. I'm equally the focal point for the Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals in Kenya. In my day-to-day work, I work at the Kenya Private Sector Alliance, and I coordinate the Environment, Water, Natural Resources Sector Board. And as said by Mr. Augustine about the Green Growth and Employment Program, I am one of the implementers, coordinators for Component 1 that seeks to find a conducive environment for private sector to invest in sustainable natural resources and green growth. I am equally an alumni of the Green Growth and Circular Economy training from DTU in Denmark. So as far as the New Plastics Economy is concerned, Mr. John has given a brief overview, but basically it's a partnership that was started in the year 2018 under the Partnering for Green Growth and Global Goals platform. This partnership was born out of the need to find a sustainable solution for plastic waste management in Kenya, and in particular the PET bottle. It has 10 implementing partners. So KEPSA is the coordinator. The administrator is the Center for Clean Air Policy, which is based in Chile. Then we have the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Nairobi County, Kiambu County. We have Petco Kenya, Coca-Cola, Discover Brands, which works in partnership with Qtron and Tech for Trade. We have the RITRA, the Retail Trade Association of Kenya, the Kenya Climate Innovation Center, KCIC, Basic Group, and the Danish Strategic Sector Cooperation. So we have been working a journey of starting the startup of circular economy in Kenya, in particular, just in trying to find out if there's a business model behind circularity and how can this actually be realized. And it's been an interesting journey, and we are happy to share our experiences together with you, even as we contextualize circularity for Kenya. Thank you so much and welcome again.
All right, thank you so much, Faith, for that introduction. Thank you all our speakers for those lovely introductions. So before we get started, I'll just like to share a reminder that in case your microphone is on, please, we are kindly asking you to mute yourself so that we can be able to get a very interesting listening experience. So now my first question will go to Mr. Arpit Bhurani. Mr. Arpit Bhurani, I know you might have a presentation to share very briefly as you respond to this question. Briefly highlight the emerging global trends in circular economy and how they contribute towards economic growth. So I think in responding to that, Mr. Arpit, I will allow you to share your screen so that you can be able maybe to speak, you may be able to speak through this. So Arpit.
Thank you.
Second. Okay, there you go, Arpit.
Right, sorry, just a minute. Right, I'll just quickly start off with a little bit information on circular economy and then go to the global trends and then on the plastics side of it. Since the Industrial Revolution, as you can see, we've been following the take, make, dispose model. We have been taking the resources from the planet, making it into different products and disposing it off. Circular economy is a kind of a solution which is win-win for both the environment and the businesses, as it is restorative, regenerative, and profitable by design itself. If you look at these two cycles, on the left-hand side is the biological cycle and the right-hand side is the technical cycle. On the biological side is all of the resources that we inputted and are out, referring to agriculture and animal feed. And on the right-hand side is the technical cycle, which is relating to products, recycling, refurbishing, redistributing, and reusing. As much as these cycles are tighter, the lesser are the negative externalities. So we have to always focus on having the tighter cycles to ensure the loops are closed and there is less leakage into the environment. Often we always confuse circular economy with a recycling economy. This infographic has been something I've used always to explain it as easy as possible. So if you look at very carefully, recycling economy recycles once, or maybe not even once sometimes, it still produces less waste than the linear economy, but more waste than the circular economy. When it comes to circular economy, all the R's, the recycle, return, repair, and reuse are used, and there is zero waste. This actually proves the concept of zero waste to wealth. If we look at the different models, business models around circular economy, basically there could be around 6, which is recycling, reusing, repair, redesigning, remanufacturing, and sharing. So as I said before, circular economy is not just something that just makes environmental sense, but also economic sense. And private sector would have no hesitancy to adopt it if we actually show value-added evidence that circular economy reduces costs and increases profits. And if you look at the global macroeconomic estimates as per by the Waste to Wealth report by Accenture, by 2030, circular economy would contribute around 4 trillion euros to the global GDP. And by 2050, it would contribute around 21 trillion euros. That's a very substantial number. When we talk about innovation, all of this is not possible without innovation. If we have to achieve these numbers, if we have to achieve global growth, we need to focus on technology, economy, environment, and government. And when they all meet together, that's when circular economy innovation happens. The global trends which are recently happening are, first of all, a lot of these countries are having national roadmaps. We've done that for India, and we're also in discussions with some Latin American countries for that. There is a new trend of doing economic modeling in terms of business as usual versus reform scenario. This actually helps public policy and also the businesses to take informed decision on what actually they're going to be saving and how much are we going to save the environment also. There are also a lot of regional pacts on circular economy that are coming up, such as the one in Latin America and in Europe. There are also industry pacts, which are specific to sectors such as textiles and plastics. We are all aware about the European Circular Economy Package. A lot is being done in the case of trade in circular economy products, which is going to unleash massive growth in international trade. All of this in the end requires a lot of regulation changes. So a lot of legal and regulation changes are also happening all over the world. When we look at plastics per se, if we look at the diagram carefully, in 1964 we were producing around only 15 million ton per year, and by 2014 we are producing 311 metric tons, which is a substantial 20 times increase. I mean, we're not saying that plastics are bad. Plastics insulate our houses, make our cars lighter, protect our food. Plastics is a wonderful material. We've just unfortunately not managed it well. Let us presume, I mean, these are 2016 figures. 78 million tons was produced in 2016. If you look at very carefully, 40% of that was landfill, 32% was leaked into the environment, and 14% was incinerated. Out of which, another 14% was collected for recycling. Only 4%, only 2% was closed loop recycling. 8% was cascaded recycling with negative externality, and 4% had processes losses. So what do we do? In order to have a plastics economy, we need to have three major things. We need to create an after-use plastics economy where secondary materials can be used again and again. We need to reduce the leakage of plastics into natural systems and have negative externalities. And we need to, for most, decouple plastics from fossil feedstocks. But how do we do that? We do that with a call to action where a plastics pact could be done between the government, plastics industry, FMCG. An experience in that case could be taken from other global initiatives. For instance, we are a member of the European Plastics Pact. Another plastics pact is being implemented in India lately, and there's another one which is coming in Africa. If we do something kind of a plastics pact, it really shows the industry that they're involved in the process. In our experience in dealing with the industry on plastics issue, they get really worried because they're not usually being a part of the process. So when we take them on board, it's easier to get a decision and to make it forward. Actually, because they know about plastics the most, we cannot keep them out. They are the people who are actually using that. This is our team, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Arpit, for your presentation and speaking through your response through the presentation. And I think he was able to demonstrate how elaborate circular economy is, which is not purely just recycling, but it's more than recycling, because for every material, we're trying to find the highest value for it. You might discover that the highest value is not recycling it, but maybe it's reusing it. So that is what we need to explore in order to understand circularity much more better. And now to bring the whole conversation home, I'd like to bring in Michael Koech. Now, Michael and your organization, Safaricom, you are doing a lot when it comes to circular economy. Of course, you've picked up one of the elements of circularity that you're working on, for example, like recycling. So Michael, please, if you can you briefly highlight, can you just briefly highlight exactly what you are doing currently at Safaricom and shed more light about circularity and how you see it as an organization in Safaricom? Michael.
Hi, John.
Oh, Karibu, Michael, sorry.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so thank you very much, John, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you through, probably because I'm in here today about as a representative from the private sector. So probably I'd want to look at a few drivers into the circular economy, what would take the private sector into the circular economy, look a bit about the barriers that are there, and then give a few examples of what we've done as an organization, if that is agreeable with you.
Absolutely, Michael, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think, and thank you, the first presenter, I think, has given us an elaborate sort of explanation of what this circular economy is all about and why it is important. I think clearly for private sector, there are few drivers that makes us to think about circularity as a whole. And the key among this is, of course, a stressed environment. If you look at where we are living in today, there's a lot of pollution, and we've seen from the previous presentation, there's plastic pollution, there's pollution of land, there's pollution of rivers. So a circular economy would look more, into how do we close that loop? How do we make what we would ordinarily call waste into a resource to do something else? And I think that's key. There's also the issue of land degradation, big in this country, big for Kenya. We've seen deforestation. We've seen issues of global warming. The temperatures are rising. It's because of what we do. And it's because we are not circular in the way we do things. And this in a world presents a threat to biodiversity. There's also the issue of limited resources. So what we used to get in yesteryears as raw materials for our manufacturing, for our products, we've seen limited, we've seen that diminishing. There's also the whole drive of sustainable development goals. SDG 12 specifically looks into sustainable consumption and production, and there are a lot of targets that have been set through the SDGs around that we need to consume sustainably, we need to produce as well sustainably. There's also depletion of natural resources. If you look at the countries that used to do, that used to be rich in raw materials, for example, South Africa, we've seen the issue of oil in the Middle East. There's actually depletion, and that brings us into what do we do next? And that is why circular economy is really important. There's also the issue of prices of natural resources. We've seen more and more all the raw materials that we use in our industries are actually getting more expensive. So circular economy presents that option of looking at what is in the current raw materials, what is in the waste that otherwise could have gone to the landfill. Can we extract something of value out of that? There's also the issue of health, even as you extract your materials, the health and safety issues involved, and generally the growing population. If you look at the current population compared to 10 years ago, for example, it has led to increased demand for raw materials. And I've seen statistics saying that if we continue with the current trends in terms of consumption, as our population increase, we might actually require 3 planets to satisfy our current demand. And so that's why the concept of circularity is really important. The issue of policy, and I know Kenduyo will talk about a lot about policy, but I think the current policies within government, within the private sector actually needs that drive for circular economy, as well as the regulations that will allow us, give us more incentives to do circularity. But however, we also have some barriers to this. And I think the first presentation has talked really about the design of the products. When you look at the current products, probably they are not designed to be circular or to be reused or to be refurbished or to be repaired. So I think generally at the moment there is lack of industry standards and definitions of what is safe, what is reliable, and what is quality in terms of the materials that you get out of a circular economy. I think also there is generally lack of knowledge about circular design and alternatives that are required. For example, when you look at issues to do with durability as well as repairability, would you be comfortable, for example, to buy something from the market that has been repaired, whose life has been lengthened through refurbishment? That is the bigger question, and it's also a barrier. I think even within our organizations, we've really not prioritized circular products as part of our strategy, and so that presents a challenge as well. Coming to demand in terms of barriers as well, demand for circular products and services, I think generally is still low. Many of our consumers, you know, they need to see the latest technology. They want to get the latest in the market. And so there's really limited demand in terms of what people would actually purchase. And I think that's a barrier that presents a barrier for both private sector and also for the consumers in terms of demand, and also pushing for circular economy. I think among private sector, which is still a big issue, and also, you know, there are limited options and capabilities for repairing and refurbishment. It needs more training. It needs more expertise in the market to actually do repairs and lengthen the life cycle of products. There's also the issue around distribution and use of circular products. I think there are still challenges around there. The lack of value chain collaboration and transparency for running successful circular business models. If you look at, for example, in Kenya, most of the industries, SMEs that are involved in circular economy, they are really still a bit gray. We don't really understand. There's no much transparency. Where do they get these materials from? How is the traceability of what what they recycle or what they reuse? So there are still challenges around that. And lastly, or second last, there is also the take back and collection, take back and collection systems, which are still complicated. We don't have, globally even, we don't have clear regulations on what to do. There are also no incentives, for example, to bring in products for recycling generally. And people demand more and more of that. We have in Kenya, we have legislations, draft legislations around take back and collection, but still they haven't been approved. It has taken a bit of time, and we really hope that should be able to, we should be able to make the process a bit more faster, so that we have this to come into fruition. There is also a lack of mechanisms for safe recycling. There are a lot of health and safety issues around recycling, whether you are talking about waste, whether you are talking about electronic waste. For example, there are things that gets out of the pipe products that gets out of that, which presents health and safety issues for the employees, as well as health issues for the environment. I think in terms of recycling and sourcing, the current market prices for recycled materials may not be that stable, it may not be predictable, and so it doesn't make it any better for private sector or potential investors to come into it. So if you can allow me, I can give you an example of a few things that we've done within Safaricom, and I will start with solid waste. Of course, I know as an organization, probably we are not the biggest generators of waste, so to say, compared to many, but within our facilities, we've also tried to demonstrate this through a proper waste management. So the overall goal for this is actually to ensure zero waste to landfill. And that is what circular economy is all about. So we do a lot in terms of mechanics. We have an integrated waste management policy, which looks at ensuring that we close the loop. We've also had an end-to-end e-waste management for the organization. Looking at the industry where we are, we generate a lot of electronic waste, and so it is our responsibility. Being part of the problem, we should also be part of the solutions. We've managed to segregate our waste, especially within our main facilities. So we have segregation bins all over. There's a lot of training and behavioral and culture change that has to go with that. So we have waste bins for organic waste, food waste mainly, paper, and plastics, which are, the major ones that we have for our organization, as well as electronic waste bins, which we've placed in all our shops and facilities. We do segregate waste from source. And then we also have a secondary waste segregation area for probably waste that is not well segregated. We have different color-coded bins so that it makes it stick into the minds of people. We are working with partners in the waste management to ensure that all the waste streams are actually properly collected, not mixed during transportation, and then it gets into the recyclers. So plastics would go to plastic recyclers, metal waste would go to metal waste, electronic waste will go to electronic waste recyclers, and organic waste are actually composted, and then we have partnerships with farmers around Kiambu County who are actually picking up our organic waste. So what has been the result? We are proud to say that at least in our main facilities, 97% of our waste is actually getting recycled. Only 3% we haven't really gotten a home for them, and they still go to the dump sites. We've, over the years, managed to recycle 1072, over 1,000 tons actually of electronic waste, which has actually presented positive health and safety impact, on the environment. And out of that as well, we've been able to save a lot in terms of greenhouse gas emissions that gets out of waste recycling. Of course, there are challenges around that. The waste recycling industry in Kenya is not really adequate. The regulations are still at draft form, and so we are hoping that this process will be completed soon, so that it makes and gives that good environment for circular economy. We are also a plastic-free, or we strive to be a plastic-free organization. We phased out single-use plastics, I think, even before the legislation came in. We ensure that all our staff carry recycle or reusable water bottles, which was actually one of the biggest sources for single-use plastics in our case. And then we've also managed to design some of our products. For example, the size of our SIM card, if you've purchased one from Safaricom of late, actually the plastic in there has been reduced by half. And out of that, we've been able to remove quite a bit of plastics from our operations as we move along. And that also comes with savings. For example, out of the SIM card alone, we were able to reduce our plastics from 2,500 tons, and we also managed to save about 50 million Kenya shillings in terms of, the cost of manufacturing the SIM cards. So, John, I think I would stop at that, and then I'll hand it over back to you, and I should be able to pick up any questions as we move along. Thank you.